Welcome back to the Dark Room, horror family, and today we are going to be looking into Scream 5, or Five Cream, as it's sometimes referred. Suddenly realizing how uncomfortable that is to say. So the Scream 5 trailer has dropped, and really isn't giving away too much in the way of a plot. We have the lineup of the familiar faces, including Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox, of course. You can't do Scream without Sidney, and clearly they refuse to kill off Dewey, or he's secretly Wolverine, I have no idea. But the big and obvious difference with Scream 5 is that it'll be the first installment without the late great Wes Craven. It is a sad loss, indeed, that the cast and crew have no doubt had to acclimate to, I'm sure. However, this could be a fresh take on the franchise, and for fans feverishly fidgeting for a flawless film with a fateful finale. Brought to you by the letter F. But this isn't a video about a trailer breakdown or the pros and cons of a film this late in the game. We come to Scream these days for the big reveal, who's behind the mask, and most importantly, what grudge do they have against Sidney? What has the Prescott family done that everyone in this town has a bone to pick with her? But I digress. Now, admittedly, at least in my opinion, the reveals have gotten a little weaker as the franchise has pressed on, and the characters' motivations a little less empathetic. Suffice it to say that Scream 5 is going to have to give us a true holy shit moment if it's to contend with the likes of the original. I say this because as the previous four films have been something of a mile marker for the genre in their respective times, and the meta element doesn't seem to be lost on Part 5 as it looks to be playing to the tropes of the remake craze. With that said, I have come up with my top tier of candidates who I feel would make for a very compelling reveal as the killer, or killers. Once again, I have not read any kind of leaked info, no influence or information anywhere on the internet I found. This is pure speculation, guesswork on my part. This is only my opinion of what I think would make a very riveting film at the end. But if I happen to be right, you heard it here first, remember that. So without further ado, let's dive in. First up, Neil.
Who?
That's right, we haven't heard from him since the original film, and of course a small cameo in Part 3. Neil Prescott was initially one of the primary suspects, later turned victim, and narrowly escaping his own demise in Part 1. Neil leapfrogged a bit from 1 to 3, and has since fallen away from the storyline. Now, a behind-the-scenes note from Wes Craven says that Neil had died in between the events of Parts 3 and 4, completely unrelated to any of the Ghostface killings. Well, I'm not exactly sure if this is canon at all. Series writer Kevin Williamson has stated that he wanted Neil to be the reveal for Part 4. However, who's to say we can't revitalize this twist? Think about it, this guy's been kicked around enough and had to endure the anguish of his daughter's torment over the years. Why wouldn't he take matters into his own hands? But to stalk Sidney? Not exactly. What if he decided to axe off anyone that looked to be up to no good around town in an effort to protect his daughter? He could make the suggestive phone calls that could play off with the double meaning, and the murders could play off the same way as well. I gotta tell you, the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm liking this pick. Next up, Dewey and Gale. If ever anyone had reason to wreak havoc on this town. As I've mentioned, between Dewey's quasi-immortality and Gale's knack for inserting herself in the mix of things, it stands to reason that it'd be almost laughably obvious, but oh so rewarding. To see Dewey take his revenge on Sid for all the things that have been happening to this town would be something that could bring the house down. Just think of the things he could do throughout the film, and it'd be so easy for him to cover his tracks having been promoted to sheriff. And with Gale's obsession with finding a good story, here she'd have the best opportunity to create one as she sees fit. They hit us with the fake out in Part 2, but to see it come full circle now would be the tops. The possibilities are endless with a setup like this, and it would make for a rewarding finale. And last but not least, drumroll please. Drumroll.
How?
Now, I know this one's a little hard to comprehend, but just hear me out. Sidney has spent 4 movies now being kicked around by family and friends alike, blamed for shit she has no business with, and as a result has become arguably the most resilient final girl to endure this genre. She's taken their best shots and come back for more time and again, but after so long, I think it's safe to say her patience has run out. Now, similar to her father's motivation, Sydney would be taking preemptive measures against people who are trying to push her buttons and screw with her this time around. The hard part would be something of an obvious difficulty, is that trying to convince the audience that Sydney is the one being stalked. How can she exactly stalk herself? Going back to her motivations, she could be subject to some prank phone calls from someone posing as the killer, to which Sydney could take steps in eliminating them. Others could tip her off about some sketchy-looking individuals, to which, again, Sid would react. The big reveal would, of course, have to come when Dewey or one of his other officers would corner Ghostface, and then...
Yes!
Wow.
It'd be a little unusual, but would certainly throw off expectation and give a perfect end cap to the franchise.
I'm a fighter.
So what are your thoughts on my top tier picks? Do you favor Dewey and Gale? Do you favor Neil? Do you favor Sydney? Either one of them could be a very interesting reveal at the end, don't you think? Or it could be someone of the cast that we have yet to be introduced to. Until then, drop your comments below, subscribe if you haven't, like the video please, and until next time, as always, I'll see you on the other side.